So
Yeah,
when's
it's
the
nice.
hike in the Bob when you guys do that?
I do it every year last week of June, and I've been doing it since 99, 98 or 99, but it's been a minute. The first one I did was in the Wyoming Wind River, the Wind River Wilderness area. Um,
How'd you find the Bob? I know I asked before because
the Wind River I researched because I was trying to replicate. I was still active duty, of course, and I was trying to replicate a movement of a mission we were planning for in 1994, and I raised the bullshit flag on it because they were talking about doing a tactical walk with a squadron 40 kilometers at 9,000 feet. And I was thinking,
no
this,
way.
no freaking way, man. I mean, maybe a team, but they've got to get fit too to do a tactical walk.
And that was
uh,
training for a mission.
that was for a mission, and it didn't happen because it was Clinton administration. So when I became team leader, I found a chunk of land that would kind of replicate that, and that's when I found the Bridger Tetons, the Wind River wilderness area. Went up there and just the team that I was on, my team, we trained for it hard, and instead of 40K, did 40 miles in the same amount of time with the same amount of load, like tactical load, and we were fit as hell, but it still smoked us. A team of 6 dudes, we were wrecked, and we worked hard to train for it, but we did it tactically and with tactical load, and it was no joke. It was 7 to 10, 6 to 9. I mean, it was up and down, and it was, man, it was
So
it
what
was a smoker
kind of weight are you carrying?
because we are going tactical. We went a little bit heavier than what we would have with camping gear, because with camping gear, my ideal weight for pack is 35 dry. So, void of water, I want it to weigh around 35, which is nothing. If you got good gear, state of the art shit, you could pack a lot in 35 pounds. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be comfortable, but we were going like 50 on that one because we had some radios and stuff and just wanted to, replicate the load that we would have been carrying. And then I found the Bob because, Pete Blaber, he wrote the book, The Men, the Mission, and Me. When he became my squadron commander, he said, "Hey man, I heard about this walk you did. Can you organize one for the squadron?" And I said, "Hell yeah." So I started researching areas, wilderness areas in particular, and found the Bob and went up and did a PDSS, a pre-deployment site survey for those of you who don't know what that means. And I talked to a lot of grizzly hunters because that area boasts the highest concentration of grizz in the lower 48. So we had a real world threat out there. We're no longer top of the food chain. So that was a genuine concern, because none of us really had any experience humping around in grizz country. And those are big freaking hungries, man. That's a lot of animal. The first time I ever ran into one male and he stood up, I was like, TV does nothing for this thing. Guys like Dan and people who live up there, when you see a full grown bull moose or a bull elk, I mean, that is, and when it's close, you go, wow, it's so impressive. It's so much animal.
Yeah.
And with the Grizz, man, I mean, I walked up on him. He was only 15 yards away. So I got a full frontal shot of what this dude looks like. And the only thing that came to mind was, whoa. I mean, that was it. I said it out loud.
How tall do you think he was when he
Oh,
reared
shit.
up?
Oh, man.
Like 10, 12?
This tall right here. Whatever that is. I don't know. But let me see. I'm under 6 feet. At least 3 feet higher than me.
Do you carry a bear spray?
Yeah, we go bear spray, and then I carry a side arm. Now, once again, I talk to a lot of grizz hunters, not internet freaking professionals, not internet
Right.
douchebags who will say, well, this caliber isn't going to do shit for that. And the grizz hunters basically told me caliber, just like I talk about with people, the caliber debate. It's ridiculous. I mean, they didn't know me from anybody when I was talking to them, these outfitters and grizz hunters, and I said, what caliber can subdue a grizz like that? And they said, well, it depends. Number one, how well can you shoot? And I told them I shoot very well. They said, how well can you shoot under pressure? So I kind of explained my level to them without explaining it. And they said, yeah, man, your choice of sidearm, if you could dump a mag in the brainstem in succession, you could subdue that guy. And I started with plus P40s, but I just carry plus P9 right now. But we'll have, but we'll spread out like usually we'll have a guy with a wheel gun, big wheel gun, 357 mag or and camp security, just in the event. But they don't want to mess with you. You've got to kind of fuck up a little bit to have a Grizz attack you, because they're not out hunting people. You've got to come, like a sow will fuck you up big time in a heartbeat if you interfere at all or get between she and her cubs. I mean, you are not going to stand a chance. Or if you come upon or separate them from their food source, or if you startle them, that's really the big ones right there. Or if you're a messy camper and you've got food and shit spread out in your campsite and they come sniffing around. So it's imperative in bear country, even like right here where we already smoked the Smokies. Rebecca and I saw a bear and 2 cubs yesterday, right here where we're at. There's black bear. They're thick here.
Wow.
And they're not going to really mess with humans too much, but you got to be cognizant of that. And you got to stow food and make sure you don't have trash laying around, because they will find it. And then, and then what happens? Once again, now you're in between them and their food source. The food source that you recklessly supplied to them. The next trip that I organized after that one, I went to Dan's neck of the woods, and I did the River of No Return, the Frank Church Wilderness area, and I walked from a town called Salmon to McCall. Now that one kicked the living shit out of me.
That's a rough country.
They don't call it the River of No Return for no reason.
Just because of the ascent or the
everything.
Miles,
so
temperature, terrain.
Yep, all that. So it's straight up and straight down, right? You're not getting relief. You're not going to walk even 5 kilometers on gently sloping terrain. You're going straight up, straight down most of the time. And then the real challenge there in the Frank Church was between, like in the bottom, there's streams and rivers everywhere. You're not running out of water. You got water. In the Frank, you're looking at streams on your topographical map, but a lot of them are intermittent. You get to them and it's just a basin. There's in it. And then now you have to dig for water and pump it out. It was real challenging. It was extremely challenging, that one. So that's why I went back to the Bob after that, because it's so forgiving, number one. But number two, I like the idea of being vulnerable to Mother Nature, having the Grizz and the mountain lion, because mountain lion's another thing. I mean, they're big in that area, man. Where Dan is, they're close to 200 pounds. I mean, that's a lot of angry kitty cat.
Yeah, same here.
Right. Yeah. Where you are. Yeah, you got big ones there too.
Yeah, we got big cats.
Yeah, but that chunk of Idaho and Wyoming, I don't know what the record is, but I think they just got one over 200 pounds recently. But like 180s are pretty common up there, and they're thick.
I've never actually seen one. I mean, I've been here for 50 years, and I've seen, sheep killed in my next door neighbor's pasture and drug, 200 yards to the edge of a fence where they can't drag it over the fence anymore. And, so I've seen signs of them, but I've never actually seen one.
They're elusive. They're the masters at being elusive. And I've been cougar hunting and haven't seen them. I saw one in my lifetime, and I've been out in all that stuff, man. But they're there. And, every once in a while, it's so funny in those areas, you'll stand up and everything's real quiet, and you could feel something looking at you. You could feel it. You're looking around going, damn, man, there is something sizing me up right now. Yeah, it's a real powerful feeling. I mean, I've felt it many times. It's like there is no doubt something looking at me right now. So ever since then, I've just been going back to the Bob. It's much easier to survive, to live off the land, to catch shit, the other areas are real beautiful, but man, they're hard. I mean, the Wind River was beautiful, a lot of water sources, but I thought that there was too much traffic. I saw people. I don't want to see people. you know, when I go on those. Like you could go 6 days in the Bob, walk 90 miles and not see a human being, easy. The first time we did the Bob, it was 95 miles. And we started on a point of the map. It was just south of Columbia Falls called Nimrod. And we were walking almost to Lincoln. So those of you familiar with that area, that's a long ass freaking hike. And it's, you know, you straight line, it's probably only 50 miles, but you can't walk straight line unless you're a total freaking moron. So you've got to zigzag and use the terrain as much as possible and really terrain associate. But we were on like day 5 and we were wiped out. There was 6 of us on that one too. And the first person we saw was a forest ranger coming in for the season. And he's on a horse. He's walking the lines of drifts. He's got 6 pack mules with him and he's geared up large. You know, he's got a rifle on, he's got a sidearm, and we get on the side of the trail and, you know, where his horse, we're not going to spook his horses in plain sight and everything. And we're waving, hey, how's it going? And he stops, he goes, hey, and we're just chit chatting. He goes, you guys fishing? Yeah. So he said, well, you could be my first entry, you know, and he checks our licenses and stuff. And he's looking at us and he goes, where did you guys come from? And I said, Nimrod. He goes, and he's leaning on his saddle and he goes, Nimrod, I know where that is. How did you get here? Because nobody does that. Nobody does that on foot, walk across a couple mountain passes. People don't do it. You could do it on a horse and mule, but most people don't do it. So he said, Nimrod, how'd you get here? And I told him, I says, well, we walked the Middle Fork of the Flathead River to Pentagon Creek, to the Dolly Varden, over the Dolly Varden, down to White River, over Spotted Bear Pass, to the Sun River, to here. And he's looking at all of us. He goes, I've been working up here for 14 years. I've never heard of anybody doing that. You know, I told him, I said, hey, people don't do this stuff, man. We've got to freaking work, because when we're in the guts of that shit, nobody's coming to get us if we break a femur or cut a artery or anything. We're not getting rescued. You know, Life Flight isn't going to come just because we turn on our emergency sat phone, because there's national parks and stuff all around that area, you know, national forests. And, you know, grandma sprains an ankle because she's taking a picture of a bison, or, you know, some Asian tourist gets mauled by some animal because he's getting too close to take a photo. That's what they're servicing, all those morons, you know, and they're busy with that. So I was telling them, nobody's coming to get us. So you got to be careful with your footing and everything. And it was neat when I was briefing up a bunch of studs initially. I was saying, yeah, I had a big like 1/100 1/100 map on the wall, and I was showing them start point, finish point, and they were saying, well, where's the closest out? Like, let's say if somebody gets hurt. I said, well, it's either a start point or a finish point. And they were like, no. Let's say we need to get in to get somebody. Where's the closest place? I said, well, it's either the start point or the finish point. This is a wilderness area. It's not a national forest. There's nothing in here. And there's very few trails. We're dead reckoning, man. We're terrain associating. You know, we got to plan routes. And so it was real eye-opening for even a bunch of studs when I was briefing it up to them. You know, the route I take now is very forgiving. It's trail and it's really nice. And we see very few people. I can't recall how many people Eric and I saw last year, but it was very few, you know, the amount of people we saw on that one for 4 days.